inspired by an exhibition that I went to see earlier this year at the Ceredigion Museum in Aberystwyth, and it was an exhibition about historical quilts. And some of the most interesting quilts there were the ones that had been made using bits of old clothes, so bits of shirts, trousers, pyjamas, handkerchiefs. So sort of people recycling their husband's old clothes to make a quilt. She cuts up his old shirt to make a quilt. The cotton was made dear to her by the slow, warm touch of his skin, his quiet words. If I say that she bowed her head, absorbed in the clarity of this one moment, the fall and rise of her hand might be his last gift.
Here's a poem, Take the Sea Road. Go to the seashore and listen to the voice of the waves, whose journeys are always longer and deeper than yours. In their whisperings, hear the sound of your heart, and find in its crevices the iridescent pearl, whose beauty is never diminished by suffering. Take the sea road. Float with its rising and falling, flow with its tides, recede and advance. Then come at last to the place beyond movement, the halcyon centre where your journey finds wings. Plum. And because I'm speaking so many and testing to see if they were ripe, I kind of got a real feeling for ripeness. So, plums. You test the plum in your questioning palm, and with a faint suck, which is also a sigh, it slips into your innocent grasp. Ripeness is all that's required, defines the moment when something luscious falls into your hand, as if simply waiting for you to ask.
The second poem was written after my first visit there some years ago. It's called Beer and Flip-Flops. Legs dangle from the boardwalk where the fish come for bread, and I look across to the other side. The cathedral, the harbour, the concrete buildings of an island invaded. And I remember a sunbed on a balcony of an apartment over a greasy cafe, nodding to the neighbours, half-cut tomatoes drying in the sun, the sound of the refrigeration unit and the clattering of bottles late into the night, daytime excursions and exchanges, lager and lilos, the occasional stag with shorts on his head, foreign language television, The Simpsons, as inevitable as remembering too late not to drink the water. A plane flies overhead, advertising banner heralding the opening of yet another nightclub, and I walk across the beach, past the illegal traders with their bottles and melons, the bars with chalkboards offering giant screen TVs to watch football and Coronation Street, and I search the markets, making comparisons, trying to find something genuine. So this next one is called Making Shoes. Girls are not worth educating. They make shoes, tear sound strips from old clothes, soak them in starch, layer them papier-mâché style, favourite bits left for the outside. Don't wander off, they're warned, just work. But inquisitive minds become bored. They leave the sanctuary of their unlocked doors, oblivious to the dangers. Soldiers come, the girls run but cannot close the door. A mind runs quicker. You want rice, mister? The men laugh and gesture. Skinny rat, they say. Show us your hands. Such calloused hands for a child. They spare her from a beating, or worse. Her uneducated head understands these people appreciate hard workers, and she is unafraid. She's not a politician. In their eyes, no more than a potato.
He took the knot and received the punishment at the end of the day for all the other children to keep the Welsh language alive. It's called Sacrifice. and incorporates a little Welsh rhyme taught to children for counting on their fingers. Do the line. Bws, boosting, tum, croosting. Words skip the playground ropes, dancing on Myfanwy's lips. The weight of wood now wrings her neck, dragging her head towards her chest. Will Harris, Bill Morris. And Meredith knew their childish call, his song running free round schoolyard walls, soon to be stopped by the silence of scorn. He stands in the lonely hall, nailed by the wood passed onto his head. A Willie Bach. As the day responds to the finishing bell, my tongue will rest upon its mother's breast, long enough to feel the teacher's cruelty, and I will take the shame for all to see. The song's rhythm changing to swish of cane. It is my honour to bear its pain. Bws, boosting, tum, croosting, Will Harris, Bill Morris, a Willie Bach. I think I describe it as a feminist poem written by a male. It's about the stereotypical image of females and their stereotypical role that was given by males in days gone past, which I do believe still exists in places. It's called Duty. She arrived in an absence, wrapped in the expected, groomed in the familiar. When it came time to become a shadow and say, I do, she did, repeatedly. Supper ready for 6, children scrubbed and suitably dumb. Wash up at 7, offspring neatly folded and packed away by 8. Newspaper silence filling hours, and after enduring news at 10, lie back and think of England. And when the mirror returned creases and shades of autumnal grey, she laced her pillow with wishes, still lying back, but now thinking beyond doors and gates.
Second World War poem called The Naming of the Parts, and I like that very much. I was inspired when I wrote this one, which is based on a true story about a Vietnam veteran who was a peace activist. And this is his story, so I'll read it out. Body parts. These are your 2 stumps. Right here, the tibular bone sits next to the fibula, which as you see has been severed 6 inches below the patella. These are the stumps of your legs. Helicopters hum in the sky overhead, and a mother holds her baby to her breast. Whilst these are what's left of your legs. This is your scapula. You may know it as your shoulder blade, which was crushed, as you can see. It connects to the top of your arm, which wasn't too badly damaged. South of Saigon, a hamlet is on fire, and a water buffalo screams. South of Saigon, the hamlet wasn't too badly damaged. These are your ribs, many of which are now broke, so you may find it quite painful to breathe. You may use the oxygen mask whenever you please, so long as you have strength in your arm. A mother holds a lifeless baby to her body, though she no longer has any strength in her arm. As you see, a bit of your cranium broke away from your skull, destroying your frontal lobe. It's right next to the prefrontal area. This part of the brain helps us recognize consequences. The bodies lay where they fell. Mostly they are women and children. They call it the frontal lobe. They call it the frontal lobe. It's where we make our decisions, you know. You use it for logical reasoning and for everyday common sense, which in your case you have not got. The napalmed woman's eyelids are burnt off. She holds a murdered infant to her breast. And these are the stumps of your legs. So I wrote a merman poem about a merman. It's called Triton. I wrap my tail around her and we swish against the other, fish and human limb-locked in the white of the whirlpool's wash. Dragged to the riverbed, my lover swims through foaming sheets. Her arms glide round me, pearl blue, sinuous as water snakes tensing themselves around my neck. As she hauls me to the surface, I pull free from her fierce embrace. My gills a flap of grease paper sucking in the water. Our meeting eyes glint like dragonflies darting in the gloom. Her kiss bitter as a five-pointed curse. The pink coral of her lips bruising my mouth. Fingernails slash my flesh to tear both skin from scale. Now frenzied, my tail encircles her form, and the two of us fall through the deeper waters of the lagoon. Ever tighter we cling, spiralling into the silent eye of the storm. Her face blooms like a white rose. The elements mix together. Earth, metal, air and water baptizes us in a blue-green altar flame that lights her drowning face. Transfixed, I smash the glassy surface and look into another world of warmer hue, the blush leaving her cheeks, her voice a mere echo in my ears, her bloated lips now turning bluish as though sugared by the first morning frost. Her silvered flesh speckled in fish scales. We are both beached, my tail thrashes by the edge of an ancient forest. Her feet are silver-leafed, and her breasts glitter as they catch the light. Our spark sated in the watery element of my nature, lit to be doused in the struggle where love flounders in the shallow waters of desire. Here in this strange and haunted lagoon, by a waterfall that sings her pitiful tune, the cold, burning flame of our love expires.